drawing a portrait every day for 2 years. There is so much to tell about this challenge, there is so much that I learned and so much progress. I had some expectations when I started, but this challenge gave me so much more than I hoped for. I would love to tell you everything, so let me start at the beginning of this challenge.
2 years ago, I didn't feel comfortable calling myself an illustrator. Yes, I did draw a lot and I did it professionally, but it wasn't the only thing I did. My main income was from being a graphic designer and an entertainer. And I also had my products in store. But then there was this life-changing event. The world became quiet, events needed to stop, the shops were closed, and I lost my income. The only thing left was being an illustrator. But was I good enough to give myself this title? The world maybe thought so, but did I? I needed more skills and more confidence. So I gave myself this challenge, drawing a portrait every day for what I thought then 1 year. Let me first start by sharing the first portrait I did, the 30th of May 2020. To see if I even improved my skill, I'm gonna redraw this drawing. And in the meanwhile, I will tell you all about the process when making the other 730 portraits. I started in this sketchbook and I decided to make some rules to make sure I would keep going. The first two are very strict rules, the third one more of a guideline. Rule number 1, sketch every day. You cannot skip a day or work ahead. Rule number 2, the sketch has to be a portrait. And rule number 3, don't spend more than an hour. I had a few theories why I wanted to follow these rules and only these rules. Most of all, I believed that the time between making portraits was really important. It gave my brain the time to process what I did. Just like how sleep is really important for your memory. I thought it wouldn't help me if I draw beforehand or catch up later. I can prove this method with doing otherwise, but I do think I was right. At least it was working for me. I had these moments when it just clicked in my brain. Like I finally figured out how to lay the next piece of a puzzle. I have this character where the hardest part of task is just deciding what to do. Like the hardest part of eating is deciding what to eat. It would help me if you decide what I should make, but if you give me a really hard recipe, then I'm also dropping out. So for me, not knowing what to draw leads to not drawing at all. And having too much instructions leads to giving up. So I had to give myself a subject to draw, but also making sure I didn't have too much instructions. That's why I decided on drawing portraits. Not specific portraits, just a portrait I want to draw that day. The rule on spending not more than an hour on one drawing was more of a guideline. I want to make sure that I wouldn't take the easy road, but I also want to make sure that it didn't feel like a task too big. I was a bit afraid I would be drawing the whole day making my next masterpiece. I needed to see this as an exercise and not as a job. The first period I was spending around an hour every drawing, but after almost a year my drawing skills became a lot better and faster, so then I only needed around 25 minutes. So that's about rules. But I also had a lot of expectations and intentions that I would like to share with you. Small ones like I want to become better with watercolor, and I expected to become better in drawing everything, not only portraits. I want to see what happened when I didn't feel like drawing, like when I was sick or tired. What I expected I would do was repeating the trick that I already learned, but then do it shittier. However, these were the moments that I started to experiment more. I just wanted to mess with different kind of art supplies. Initially to find a way to be faster and get rid of the task. I focused less on the reference photo and started to enjoy the messiness of the process. Sometimes I was indeed faster and most of the time the portraits looked shittier. But instead of learning something about the face, I was learning something about art supplies, something also really valuable to me. Also, a shitty portrait at the end of my challenge was never as shitty as the shitty portrait at the beginning of my challenge. Even better, a shitty portrait right now would still be better than a really good portrait at the beginning of my challenge. Because even the shitty portraits get better in time. Something else I found really important was making sure I would draw different kinds of people. Different kind of skin, in color but also in age. Different poses, different emotions, different characters. I want to make sure I could do everything at the end of my challenge. Not only 20-year-old girls who look pretty. That just seemed like the easy option. The challenge is in the imperfections of the face. And it turned out that I find these kind of portraits easier. It gives me these guidelines that I don't have if the face is even and spotless. Okay, so that's what I thought was important, and I was right. I've got better by structural drawing a portrait every day. No surprise there. So let's talk about the things that happened that I didn't expect. I already made big steps throughout my life if we talk about the courage to show my art to other people. Me wanting to become an artist was never a secret, but my drawings and paintings were. I wasn't confident enough and I didn't want to look as a show-off. I just couldn't handle being seen. However, from the first portrait of this challenge, I was posting everything on my Instagram. I don't really remember what my intentions were, but I did feel like I had this extra authority, a reason why I couldn't stop and couldn't fail. There were now other eyes that also followed my process. What was kind of scary at first, I didn't want to show off or even worse look like a fool. After 3 months I've got this message saying, I didn't really understood why you would share your drawings, but now I see you becoming better. Not really a compliment, but well meant. When I made this really good drawing there was no response, and when I thought I ruined it, then there was always someone saying, wow, this is the best one so far. I discovered it doesn't really matter what others think or what I think of a drawing. There will always be someone that think it's ugly and dull, and at the same time there will be someone impressed and proud. It could be you, it could be me. The value of my drawings became less, what sounds a bit neglectful, but for me it means I'm not anxious and in terror when I'm showing you my art. Also really cool about posting my art, people get inspired and started to draw themselves. Even in the last months I started to organize these 7 days drawing challenges so people could join me for a week. Turned out I trained my eye to look at faces a different way. I already enjoyed looking at other people, but now I'm a bit obsessive. I started to appreciate faces much more, especially when there's an imperfection. I started to love wrinkles, freckles, glasses, birthmarks, unibrows, ears. Did you see ears? Look how amazing this thing is. I started to see these little stories, like a scar would tell a story. I found wrinkles telling me how hard someone's life must have been, or how happy they are. How they nervously get rid of pimples and hair, or embrace their facial hair. It tells a lot about a character, and I love how I'm more open to see these little details in the faces of my friends and people I meet. I can do anything now. Drawing every day for so long made me realize I can learn anything. It's like learning a new habit, like making sure you brush your teeth and shower once in a while. I learned myself the habit of drawing every day. And if I can learn this habit, then I'm sure I can learn anything. I just need to put my mind to it. Not only with drawing, but also get better in sports, play music, eat healthier, reading books. It made me a much more aware and active person. Maybe I could be the next big art YouTuber. What reminds me, if you like this video, like and subscribe. It would really help me grow my channel so I can make more videos like this. And here she is, proof of the progress of the last 2 years. This was my first sketch, and now 2 years later, this is what I have learned. There is so much more depth and realism. I am really happy with the progress, not only with my drawing skill, but maybe even more of the progress in me as a person. I think there is so much more I could tell about this, and I will. I would love to dive in different kind of subjects, or even make an exhibition about it. In the city, online, or even in VR. If you have any suggestions or questions, don't be shy and leave them in the comments. I would love to get your input. And of course you can watch my other videos to give you more insights and tips about how to draw daily. See you at the next one.